But what does Category 5 really mean? You hear that number and you know it's bad, but it's so much more than that. The real story, the scary part, is hidden in the physics of the storm's power. And honestly, the truth is kind of mind-blowing.
Okay, so we've all heard of the Saffir-Simpson Scale, right? It's the standard 1 to 5 rating we see on the news. But here's the crucial thing you have to remember. That scale is based on one thing and one thing only: the storm's wind speed. It doesn't actually measure its potential for destruction.
So, let me ask you this. A Category 2 hurricane, that's got winds around 100 miles an hour. A Category 1 is about 75. So how much more damaging do you think that Cat 2 is? You know, just off the top of your head. Twice as bad? Maybe 3 times?
It seems logical, right? Maybe it's about twice as damaging. But the reality? Wow, it's not even close. A Category 2 storm isn't twice as damaging. It has the potential to be 10 times more destructive than a Category 1.
So why? Why this huge jump? Well, it all comes down to physics, really. The destructive force of the wind doesn't just go up in a nice straight line, it increases exponentially. As those wind speeds tick up, the power they unleash just goes through the roof. This table from the National Oceanic and Atmospheric Administration, or NOAA, just lays it all out. Just look at these multipliers. A Cat 3, that's not 3 times the damage of a Cat 1. It's 60 times. A Cat 4, 250 times. And a storm like Erin, a Cat 5, has a damage potential over 400 times greater than a bare minimum hurricane. It's insane. And this chart here shows that difference perfectly. You double the wind speed, right? You go from a 75 mile per hour Cat 1 to a 150 mile per hour Cat 4. You're not doubling the destructive force. You are multiplying it by 256. Let that sink in for a second. 256 times the power. This is exactly why forecasters get so concerned with every single mile per hour a storm intensifies. The consequences aren't linear. They're on a completely different level. And this crazy growth in power leads to a pretty harsh truth in meteorology. A very small number of really powerful storms are responsible for nearly all of the destruction. We sometimes call it the 85% rule. And here's where you see it in the real world. Major hurricanes, so your Category 3, 4, and 5 storms, they only make up about a quarter of all the hurricanes that actually hit land. But that small fraction of storms, well, they're responsible for over 85% of all the damage costs. You can actually see what this kind of force means in this famous picture of the lone house that survived Hurricane Ike. So how did it do it? Well, according to a report from NOAA, after being wiped out by a hurricane before, it was rebuilt specifically to handle the incredible forces of a Category 5. It's a perfect real-world example of what it takes to stand up to that kind of exponential power. So let's bring it all back to Hurricane Erin, which is churning out there right now. The good news, for now, is that the forecast keeps the most powerful core of the storm offshore. But a storm this strong has a massive reach, and it's actually forecast to get even bigger in the next few days. Even from hundreds of miles away, Erin is going to be generating life-threatening surf and dangerous rip currents all along the U.S. East Coast, and its outer bands are already dumping tons of rain on Puerto Rico and the Virgin Islands, creating a real risk of flash floods and mudslides. The power of a storm like this is never, ever just at its center.
So the next time you're watching the weather and you hear a hurricane strengthened by only 10 or 15 miles an hour, what are you going to see? You're not just going to see a number. You're going to see that exponential leap in destructive force, and you'll know exactly why that small change is actually a very, very big deal.
Understanding this power is the first step, so staying informed is absolutely crucial. For continuing coverage on Hurricane Erin, you can follow meteorologist Rob Jones. He's at Meteorologist on Instagram, at TV Meteorologist on TikTok, and his YouTube channel is Rob Jones Hurricane. That's also where you can find the full Meteorology Matters playlist. Thanks for joining me.